Starting us off, we have Jocelyn Marshall. She will be talking about Traumatic Reckonings, New Readings of Contemporary Feminist Art. She's from the English department in the Colleges of Arts and Sciences, and in her free time, she enjoys rock climbing, hiking, and scuba diving. I believe Jocelyn is virtual with us today, so stay tuned. And Jocelyn, can you hear me loud and clear? Okay. Jocelyn, let's do one more mic check here, loud and clear. For us. Let's do one more check here, Jocelyn.
Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, beautiful. Crisis averted, Jocelyn. Okay, we have the timer set, and on my mark, ready, set, pitch.
Silence is often considered the language of trauma, but how do we study silence? One artist of my project pictured here, Teresa Hakyung-Cha, addresses silence by mixing mediums and challenging stereotypes. Today, she's typically described as a Korean American poet and often exclusively known for one book. However, her body of work includes many pieces outside of poetry, like performance and film, which is where this image of her smiling came from. In fact, such a glimpse from Cha's archive is just one example of how narrow categories pigeonhole women artists and simplify their work. My dissertation looks at contemporary artists with multi-ethnic backgrounds to analyze how they voice the language of trauma, using archival research and reveal the limitations of such pigeonholing by showing just what can happen when we do study the silence, the language of trauma, across mediums and personal backgrounds. This breaks from much work in trauma studies, which often focuses on military veterans and survivors of war. My goal is to expand the field into other disciplines, like visual art and gender studies, to explore ways to hear the silence and voice new histories. My research shows this approach challenges general trends in U.S. feminism and art history to advocate for close analysis of how race, gender, and trauma influence artistic practice. For example, most of Teresa Hakyung-Cha's films actually exclude her own image, which were created at a time when many U.S.-based artists were using their own bodies in work. By highlighting such deviations in practice, my project identifies methods used to address U.S. histories of violence, racism, and misogyny. This is significant as healing from trauma often involves voicing one's own experience and learning from others voicing theirs. By identifying different kinds of testimonies, my dissertation reveals new ways to listen and, in turn, heal. This work is all the more pertinent given that Cha's life was ended by horrific rape and murder, which is a detail oftentimes excluded from wall labels at the museum. When it is included, the phrase rape and murder is typically used very matter-of-factly, which underlines the gravity of the violence. By reading feminist art across disciplines, we can address these kinds of limited narratives of artists and write new histories. With this, we not only get to highlight the breadth of artistry at hand, but we can also challenge the taboo nature around topics like gender-based violence and ensure the silence no longer remains unheard. By reading women's artwork through an interdisciplinary lens, I demonstrate a feminist approach to trauma studies and art history. Using this new lens, we can see how connections between artists, communities, and histories are vividly heard when we know how to listen for the silence. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Jocelyn. Thank you so much. I learned something every time on these 3 minutes. It's amazing how much you can pack in there. Thank you.